Okay, it's a new month and time for a new set of stencils and such. So these are our two stencils. You can see that we're certainly thinking spring, and we have the they're called Nature's Garden. This is the Bumblebee, obviously, and the Dragonfly, but we also have flowers and frames all included in one. And you're going to see some very fun techniques. And this, I think, is my favorite. Look at that Bumblebee. Isn't it just gorgeous? Fluttering away, and I'll show you exactly how the designer did it. So won't you please come play with us? Okay, now both Lene and Debbie have been creating with these two stencils, and I have a project from each of them. So I'm going to start with the bee, and I'm going to start with that very first project that I showed you because I think it's so wonderful. And we'll get in even closer just so that you can really see what's going on. Now, do you see that shine that's going on with that? Well, that was with stencil butter, and this is the Sunshine, aptly named. And isn't it striking on that black cardstock? And Debbie has done a couple of things. She did use our circle cutting die. So this is 12 circle and scalloped. And she began by cutting her card into the circle. So when you do that, you just want to make sure, this is just the coating that we use to make sure that the photographs get to the right project. But anyway, she did make sure that her die was overlapping the fold. That way you can still fold it and you're not cutting it into two pieces that are not hinged, so that creates the hinge. So just offset your die a little bit and cut it out. And then she went into the solid cardstock, and for that she chose the Be Happy. Now isn't that just perfect? The Be Happy solid cardstock. And that's where she got not only her gold, but her black to work just beautifully. Now, so she die cut out, you can see the circle. You want to make that the size of your card, and then also the larger scalloped, so that those will just work together beautifully. Now, let me show you a little demonstration because she's got two things going on here that I think are very, very clever. And I'm going to bring in my craft mat because you really always want to work on that rather than on your table. So let me have this here. And we're going to start with the black cardstock and the stencil. And I'm going to put that in place. And I do want to use the low-tack tape. You can use washi tape. However, as Sarah tells me, she really doesn't like to use her washi tape just for this. She prefers to use that for designing. So I think we'll take a good tip from her and use the low-tack tape. I'm just pressing the black cardstock in place. I'll do the same thing with the stencil. And one of the things that you will notice is that Debbie only used the bee. She just ignored the rest of it. So you can see right there. And you're going to want a palette knife, and you do want to have some water close by because you don't want to have the stencil butter dry on your stencil. You want it to dry on your paper. So that's important. And when you open the jar, you're just going to scoop some out. Now, if you are more comfortable putting some something over the area so that you don't get the stencil butter into areas you don't want. It isn't, well, I guess it is kind of necessary. I was going to say it isn't necessary on this one, but yeah, it is. So I'm just going to do a little bit of this. So I've just got a Post-it note, happen to have a Post-it note right here, and I'm just going to put it there. Now you could do the same thing with your low-tack tape, of course, and cover up any images you want to make sure that you are not stenciling, but I kind of don't want to take your time to do that because I think you get the idea. Okay, so stencil butter, they come in a lot of different colors, but they're all the same consistency, this very soft, kind of wonderful frosting. So I'm just going to tap it here, and then I'm going to use the side of my palette knife to spread this, and you just want to go like this and make sure that you are covering all of the areas. And I think one of the mistakes probably people do when they first doing this with stencils is they'll have a tendency to put too much. And you don't need to put much because you're just covering up that area between the stencil and the paper, which isn't very long. Okay, now I'm going to stop pretty soon because I don't have anything else masked off. Okay, so you can see, I think you can see, that it really doesn't take much, and that's really neat. Now, I like to go back over and just make sure that everything is covered, and yet not too much, okay? So, there we go. And be sure to put the lid on this, and be sure to put this in the water. That way it's not going to dry. I'm going to remove these pieces, and I'm going to only lift one side of the stencil. And I do that so that if there's an area maybe I want to go over again, I don't have to reposition everything. So just like that. Isn't that stunning? Stunning, beautiful. Okay, so you see I got a little bit outside of it right there because you can see I didn't cover that up. No problem. I can scrape that off, or, you know, this is only a piece of cardstock. I can easily do it again. But what is beautiful, okay, now I'm going to put this puppy into the water. So it too is going to get nice and wet. I'm going to lift this up, and I want to bring the card back in because what's going on is just so pretty. And you can see the shine that that has. Now, you probably are noticing, you eagle-eyed people, is that I did all the butterfly on the black, but then Debbie did another piece, just the body, onto another piece of cardstock, trimmed it out, and foam taped it on top. Now, why did she do that? Well, that's because she wanted these glittering wings. Now, on those, that's another technique. So let me show you that. So she took acetate, and I know this is hard to see because it's clear and it's supposed to be clear. So let me just put that there. And we do sell it by the sheet. I keep a Post-it note on it just so that I can find it in my box of goodies. Then we also have clear glitter adhesive sheets. Now when you get it, when you purchase it, it's going to say glitter foil. That's because that is the Dutch name for it, but we call it clear glitter adhesive. And it's because all of the sheets are like this. They have the glitter, and it is embedded into the adhesive. So let me pull this back, and I'll show you. Look at that glitter. How gorgeous is that? So if you too want to have glittery wings on your bee or your butterfly or your dragonfly, what Debbie will tell you is that she took the glitter foil and pressed it onto the acetate, or press the acetate onto the glitter foil, whichever way you want to do it. Probably be easier if I had cut that piece, wouldn't it? And it's just like this, just like that. Now let me get a pair of scissors and cut that off, just so that you have a better look at it. And Debbie said to take a 6-inch by 3-inch piece. And you know, that sounded like an awful lot to me, but I measured the wings and she was right. Of course she was right. Okay, so I have a piece like this. And what she did is she took the stencil, which is now sitting in water, and placed just the wings over it. Now, she did this as one piece because she wanted to hold it underneath the body. Now, can you see the black lines? Well, she did use a permanent marker to go over the stencil in those areas. Now, you can do that or not. I think it would look good either way. And then that piece just fits underneath this body. I think it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So that takes care of that step. And she has obviously glued this circle onto the scalloped. And then the dazzles that are there are from our script greetings. There are 500 greetings in this package, black, white, gold, and silver. And as you can see, now they're straight here, but you can curve them ever so bit. So just for you, just because the heart and the flowers are part of the Dazzle collection. Isn't that lovely? Just, can you imagine somebody opening this and what a pleasure that would be? Okay, so I think it's just wonderful. Now we have, so that's Debbie's take on this. And here is Lene's take. And hers is different, but I think it's also fun that she used some products from the Be Happy collection. So can you see on the patterned paper that she stenciled upon, it's a honeycomb pattern. It came from the Be Happy 12 by 12. In fact, you can see that paper right here. So she covered her card with that paper, and then she's going to use the stencil. And she also used, see the words Be Happy right there? That was from the Be Happy chipboard. See, everything coordinates. You know, we work very hard to make that happen. Now, I won't talk about these two because that doesn't involve the stencil right now, but I do want to talk to you about what she did. So she has, most of this has been done flat. So she has used she likes to use the round tool. You could also use a blender brush, but she just took the stencil and placed it down on her cardstock. Of course, put your low-tack tape to hold everything in place. And then she simply went on all the different areas. So let me bring the stencil in just to remind you. Okay, so anything that was a leaf became green. That makes sense. And for that, she used khaki. Oops, no, she didn't. She used lily pad. So that gave her a brighter green. Now she also used the black, of course, and for that she used the I don't seem to have it here. It's probably the cocoa bean, because that's going to be darker. Maybe muddy boots, either one of them. It will be in the listing. By the way, the listings are down below. Just click on the image of the card and you'll see exactly what she used, in case I'm messing this up. Now, she also has these flowers. Now, the flowers were done with something different. They were done with another stencil butter. This is fuchsia, and you can see that bright, pretty color. So you can use each of those things. You just want to mask off the area that you're not going to be using. And I really demonstrated that nicely for you in the very first project. So that will work. You do have quite a bit of control when you're doing the ink pads, more so than a little bit with the stencil butter. But let me tell you what she did for the fuchsia. So she had her stencil in place, and she did take off the fuchsia out of the bottle with the palette knife, but then she dipped her finger into it and rubbed it onto the Be Happy. And I thought that was very clever. And she did the same thing on the stencil. So you can use your finger, you know, that tool that you always have with you, and that will work nicely. And everything is being done right on the card. Now, again, something else with the wings, and what she did, what Lene did, is she chose a vellum, which makes perfect sense to go with wings. This is our dotted vellum, and you can get it by the sheet or you can get it in a package. Because it's vellum, you see the dots on both sides, but on one side they're shiny. That's the printed side. That's the side I always like to have face up. The back side still has dots, but they're a little more muted. Okay, so what she did is she took the stencil and placed the vellum right under it and used the ink pad to just dab that on, and then trimmed it out. And see what she did. She cut right underneath the body and slipped that piece in and slipped that piece in. Now you can see the same shape underneath, and it just gives a bit of dimension. So very nice. So you're just gluing that in. So lots of things going on here. Now for the top and the bottom, she used dazzles. Well, of course she did. And these are the fancy border dazzles. There are 96 pieces in here. Again, black, white, gold, and silver. And you can see that she put a 1-inch strip of white cardstock there and there. And then she used both of those. Now, this little dotted line, that came from the stencil. Where's my stencil? There it is. Okay. You know, I didn't even talk about that little dotted line, and that is going to be a handy little thing. So she just inked it going right across there and right down here. So, you know, sometimes that happens. You're fixated on the focal, but you kind of can ignore all of the other artwork. But there's several things going on here. There are also little corners. So you could use those on many projects. So a nice tip. So thank you, Lene. The final thing that's in there, and I can maybe let you see a little flash of it, are the pink jewel dazzles. Jewel meaning that they are the circle jewels, and pink, they're kind of a Barbie pink. And we have several things in this color of pink with thin line dazzles, as well as border dazzles, as well as jewel dazzles. So those are all going to work nicely. So you see lots of things going on this card, which is very, very fun. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you about the card. This is a tent card. What does that mean? Well, it means that the fold is at the top, just like that. Now, I learned recently, I always thought that Hunky Dory had just made a mistake of calling these 7x5, but here in the US, we do our measurements by width times height. In England, they do it by height times width. So 7x5 is not an error on their part, but it is just slightly different than we would say. But there are a lot of things that we each say differently, aren't there? Okay, now we're going to move into our dragonfly. And the dragonfly, as you can see, looks like this. Now, don't forget, there are corner treatments. There is just a lot going on. So let me show you the card. And this is the card that Debbie did. Isn't that gorgeous? You know what? I'm seeing something here that I don't have on my table, so let me go grab it. I'll be right back. I bet you are just as captivated as I am by that dragonfly. Isn't that pretty? Yes. Well, it has been done on a specialty paper. We call them iridescent papers, and when you get them, it comes in a package like this. There are 7 colors that you can see, and iridescent is not something that you normally see, and we only have it in this package. But there are all of these colors. I think I've got one more missing somewhere, but you can see the difference. And what happens with the iridescent is as you move it, they change color. And that's really kind of neat. It's very smooth. It is textured, so that's kind of another nice little bonus. And as you can see, it just is going to make quite a difference. Now, they do tend, this one is a little blue-green. I'm not sure if you're seeing the blue as much as I am here in person because the lights tend to change things a little bit, but there's a lot going on there. But before we even get there, let's look at our card. And this is a 5 by 6.5 inch card. And let me show you what Debbie did. So here's my card. And here's my stencil. And what she did is she made the curve become an oval. So she used it here. Let me show you the card again. See how that's an oval? I thought that was really, really smart. And so she just simply, you know, placed her stencil down, and she went over this with the green. And that is the khaki, I believe, ink pad. And that way it gave her the leaf and the stems. So it's kind of hard to see on the white on white, isn't it? So let me just bring the card back in. And actually, let me just show it to you this way. Okay, so there is the one part, and then she just turned the card around and did it again and gave us an oval. That's a nice thing to remember, that you can get that out of this stencil. Now, she also made the corners rounded. She did that with the corner rounder, aptly named. Now, when you get this, there are 3 different sizes of corners that you can make, and I've put them on this card. And the R4, R7, R10 is just what is put on the punch itself. So all you do is just slip the paper in, press this down, and you've got it. And you can see that Debbie used the R10 on every single one. And you do that with your card folded. So you're just going to go into each of the corners. That just works really, really well. So you want to do that first. And notice that she used a pink background and used blue on top of it. So that's different. And the cardstock that she chose is from our Whispering Florals. That was brand new this year. And you can see that this has got blues and pinks in it, so that worked perfectly for her. And the blue that she used is Prussian blue. And the, as I said, the khaki going around for the leaves. Okay. Then she did the Prussian blue, as I said, on the corners. And for the blue that's on the flowers, that is actually stencil butter. It is denim. Isn't that interesting? So going in and masking off those areas and doing just these little tulip flowers in the denim blue. Very, very neat. So then we have our gorgeous, gorgeous guy here. And he is going to be done with chocolate stencil butter. Okay, and you're going to do that right onto the iridescent paper. Okay, so just smooth that on, just like I did earlier. And then you're going to trim it out. And that's going to get foam taped in the middle. Now, I almost wish I had another one separately, but you get the idea, because it's right here, is that to use that individually on something. I think that would be beautiful on pattern cardstock. Just gorgeous. Okay. Now, she did go back, and you see these bigger flowers. So you've got several kinds of flowers here, and she did those on the cardstock and using the blue denim, again, just going on top, and that worked well. But then she also used, this is Astro Paste, and it's called Clear Skies. Well, it's called Clear Skies because it's blue. And let me just see, it will give you the shine. It, you know, it doesn't look great in the bottle. It's not like the stencil butter. But when it dries, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get that sparkly and that really pretty color. So she used the denim stencil butter on the tulips, but on these, she used the Astro Paste. So just giving you lots of texture, lots of shine, and that's really fun. And also, you see her thanks down here? Well, that was with our new set. We just did the Script Dazzles in individual colors. So blue, there's 3 different sheets in here. We've got red, we've got green, we've got brown, and yellow and orange are coming, by the way. So that's done here, and then you can also use it, of course, on the inside of your card. Her final thing to really set this off are the Jewel Dazzles, as you can see, just shimmering in the middle of those flowers. So these flowers and the Dragonfly are foam taped, giving some dimension. So just a lot going on this card, as our Debbie is known to do. So I've got one more card, and Lene took a little different route where she did use the stencil, of course, but she offset things. So instead of using the arch to go on both sides of her card, she simply used it on one side and positioned her stencil just like that, just right into the center of her card. And you can see that she used this time, she used all of the ink pads, so lots of different ink pads. You'll see them. Most of them I have been shown here. So we've got Orchid, we've got, this is the khaki, we have the Prussian blue, and so she's just done each of them separately. So you'll want to mask them off. Now, she did use the Prussian blue at the bottom and at the top more heavily, as you can see. And this is using the borders. So they're in there too, the blue borders. And then she's also used in the Jewel Dazzle. So all of that shine that you're seeing is all dazzly, as you can tell. And so she's really had a lot of fun playing with the colors. So that's fun to see. And the jewel dazzles, let's see, we've got the teal and the purple going on, and that works. Although I think I see some pink in there too, so that's fun. The Miss You, well, that comes from the script dazzles that I showed you earlier. So lots of different techniques, different ways you can use them. Oh, Lene did tell me that when she was doing the top and the bottom, she just used a Post-it note to cover up the stenciling that she had done. She certainly didn't want it to interfere. Now, you could do this in the beginning before you stenciled, or you could do it afterwards. It's your choice. So that's my little Post-it note that's sitting there. Okay, so lots of ideas, lots of different ways that you can use these. And for some reason, I have lost my bee. Where's my bee? There he is. Okay, so we have two stencils for you, our Bumblebee and our Dragonfly. But again, don't forget, you've got all these other things included. And we do have a money saver. Now, when we do our money saver, it's always, there's going to be something extra. So in these two, I also added the clear glitter adhesive. And you know what I forgot? I'm going to go and get it because I want to tell you about the subscription that we have. So I'll be right back. Well, it turns out Jeanette isn't ready to give me the subscription, so let me just kind of talk to you about it. So we do have a subscription every month. You will get at least two different stencils, value of $15, which is what the amount you'll pay, but you also get a free gift. And the free gift this time is one of these sheets of the clear glitter adhesive. So that's fun. So you can really play with that. So you're going to get one of, it's an A4 sheet, and that's fun. In the Money Saver is the whole package of clear glitter sheets. That Money Saver is on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, with the subscription, you have a savings every single month, so that's wonderful. And also, you are going to get your stencils and your free gift before the webisode. Now, why is that important? Well, because I know you. You want to play. You want to kind of look at it and see, gee, well, I could do this, I could do that. But then the webisode comes and you've got 4 more ideas and maybe at least 4 more techniques. So that's fun to have. So it is every month. If you'd like to join us, and I would welcome you so much, it's also on the right-hand side of the screen, because by the time this airs, Jeanette will have done it, and it will be posted there just for you to see. Okay, if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, we hope that you will like us. We hope that you will subscribe. That way you're not going to miss anything, because we have over 20 webisodes a month. Every single product that we buy that is new, we will give a webisode, because not only do we want you to see the product, but we want you to be successful, and ideas are going to help that process. Okay, like I said, if you are on YouTube, head on over to paperwishes.com after you subscribed, and you will see the Money Saver and the subscription over on the right-hand side of your screen. I want to thank Lene and Debbie. I know that they really work hard to do different techniques on using stencils, and we appreciate that, and all the different products. That's very, very fun. And I want to thank you especially for being part of our Paper Wishes family. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.